We have Johnny Xmas up with Urban
Oh,
Exploration,
Johnny.
a COVID-friendly hacker hobby. All right. So, nothing to do with warfare.
We're gonna go urban exploring now.
Yeah, we're
On
gonna go
that light
urban
note.
exploring. I wonder if he goes spelunking.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here at GrimmCon 3 on this frosty, pandemic-ridden winter's day. I'm Johnny Christmas. We're going to talk to you today about urban exploration, a hobby that I feel like has been lost over the years, especially since 9/11 happened and trespassing was really cracked down upon back in those days. And I'm trying to bring it back, trying to create a resurgence here, a renewed interest in this, if you will. And I'm going to do it by talking at you about the things that are involved. First off, here's me. I'm Johnny Christmas. I've done a ton of stuff. I am the 3D printed TSA keys guy, in case you were like, who's that guy? Why do I know that name? It's probably that. I've also done a bunch of other crap over there. I don't know. Only vaguely related to urban exploration, maybe like the middle bunch there. That's it. Nobody really cares. We're not going to linger on this. Let's get into the rules, the kind of like unspoken guidelines, the framework that you just kind of should keep at the forefront of your mind when you're thinking about getting into urban exploration as a hobby. Um, First off, I'm not a lawyer. It makes for this amazingly problematic acronym, but I digress. Um, you probably all may have guessed that urban exploration involves a whole heck of a lot of trespassing. Uh, it's true. Trespassing primarily is the main legal issue that you bump up against when you're thinking of doing this sort of thing as a hobby. You've got both that criminal and civil liability potential depending on local jurisdiction, local laws, and what those laws look like and what the punishments look like are going to vary by municipality, right down, to from town to town. It can even vary, and I've seen it range from a $200 fine to 3 years in prison. So make sure you're aware of what kind of trouble you can be getting yourself into before you start going down this path, because it can really suck when you get hit with a $10,000 fine because you got busted doing something stupid and you didn't even know that it was a possibility. Upside is generally these punishments aren't enforced. Generally, you're going to be breaking into, and yes, you're breaking into private property that is not currently cared about. If it was cared about, it wouldn't be particularly interesting, with some cool exceptions, but no time to get into those for now. The main concern that owners of this property have is that somebody's going to go inside there and get injured. One of the things that causes that is a lot of optics, a lot of visibility to perhaps how cool this place is and the fact that it's abandoned, thus causing more people to start coming in. And the more people you have coming in, the more potential there is for someone to get injured or killed, and then you as the property owner are often at least partially responsible for what goes on there. And so that's why those laws are in place for the most part. Usually, like, the laws are meant to really be enforced in the cases of trespassing and actively used facilities, not so much abandoned ones, but those trespassing laws can be used against you for that as well, because they're better than the nothing else that there is for that. Also, you've got the potential for the damage you're causing to the property, including damage you might cause just simply entering or walking around. You may go, well, this is abandoned. Look, this place is a wreck. If we look at the video I have playing behind me, like, who cares if this place gets damaged? Again, if they're trying to use existing laws to get people to stop going into these places, that's one of the things that they can certainly hit you with, because you have, in fact, possibly damaged someone's private property. And there you go. You've also got injury or death of someone you're traveling with. If somebody gets seriously injured or perhaps killed, their family might come after you saying like, hey, you lured our son, you lured our father, whatever, into this uh, precarious situation without properly informing him of the risks. This is your fault. We feel you're responsible now for his death. So again, that's something a lot of people don't think about is, what happens, the people you're traveling with. What happens if something happens to them? Is it your fault? It could be. Keep that in mind. Um, Back to the trespassing aspects a little bit and just generally avoiding causing problems for yourself and others. Don't be suspicious and don't be obnoxious. I think both of those are really key things to keep in mind, both while attempting to stake out a place, attempting to enter a place, and of course, while you're in the place, don't make so much noise that you can be heard from the outside of it. And of course, when you're leaving as well. Um, when you're snooping around, trying to find how to enter this building, whatever it might be, don't look like that's what you're doing. Don't look like a burglar is a basic easy thing to keep in mind. Keep all your crap in your bag. Um, don't take it out till you're inside. Make sure you pack it all up before you go back outside. Um, don't park directly in front of the building you're about to go into, especially if it's abandoned. You're probably the only car there. You're probably the only car that's been there for a very long time. And so just the car being there is going to tip people off that someone's inside. That might tip the cops off who might be having a slow news day and might want to do something about it. And finally, as you're exiting, as it says here, uh, don't don't linger. Heck, even as you're just looking around for how to get in, you might be coming back tomorrow. You're just casing the joint for today. Don't hang around once you're done. Get the hell out of there. The longer you're visible, the more you're amplifying the potential for causing trouble for yourself. So get in, get out, go home. Um, Before you enter, and probably before you even begin casing out the joint, do some research. This is really the best place to get started. This is the best way to find a place to go to in the first place. Look around, especially if you live in, say, parts of the country that have been uh, a, once had a really big economic boom and then crashed later. Those are the places that often have the most waste, the most buildings that have been huge and reused for tons of cool things or one cool thing, production, storage, something, and now have been abandoned forever because that industry has gone and no one's worked in that town in a million years. Something like that, something like the Rust Belt, so, somewhere where, an American industry has come and gone. Places where there used to be the old Silicon Valleys are often great places to go look. Rochester, New York comes to mind, which has uh, they used to have a subway system that's now closed down. You can explore out there. Like, how cool is that? So look for, research the places you're going to. Look for old historical information like that. And when you find a building that's still standing and that's abandoned, look for historical information on it. Um, that's going to tell you a lot about, is it, was it on fire recently? Has there been some horribly destructive thing that's gone on to the point where you probably shouldn't even be going inside at all? Um, Even just looking this information up often will lead you to information about how to go exploring inside of there. Often, perhaps just because you'll stumble across like a Flickr account or some YouTube videos of somebody or something of somebody else who's already done this, and it often takes quite a few of those before you can piece together how to actually enter. Sometimes those methods of entry no longer exist. You might have to find others. Um, Satellite images are really good for that, at least for looking around the outside. Nothing is going to beat, of course, in-person recon, walking around the outside of the building and looking, but um, perhaps it's a building that's a pain in the ass to get to. Perhaps walking around it is difficult or suspicious. You might have to cross 2 or 3 perimeters before you can get inside. I did an abandoned children's hospital just outside of Berlin that had 2 fences around the outside you had to get through before you were even on the land and could walk towards the hospital. So it's good to do the research up front. And I think finally, what I would put the urbex groups last because those are often the least productive. Urbex folks, for the reasons I just stated, aren't extremely open to sharing information about all of this. It attracts other people to the spaces, which causes security to greatly increase around the area, either privately or police-wise or something. And Urbex folks just don't want that. Also, it's illegal. It's against the law. And so they don't want to share the fact that they're breaking the law with someone they don't know. But if you do a lot of good work, you post a lot of good footage, you're helpful, that's how you make friends in any industry, and more people are going to eventually trust you and be willing to help you out. Once you're inside, or thinking about going inside at least, like you found a place, know your physical limits. This is super important. We're talking about your life here. We're talking about life and risk to serious injury. Sorry, and you got to really sit down and accept some things about yourself. Um, I've put a few things here that are just good key elements to have when doing these things. They may seem a little excessive even to some of you. I assure you they're not. I try to be as lenient as possible by using real data that I have from my own dives. Like walking 5+ miles, really? You're going into a building. Yeah, I log 5 miles easy when exploring a building because you're walking constantly, especially in circles, and you're covering every area back and forth. You can get 5 miles in there real easy. 5 miles, also not as hard as it sounds, but maybe try it out somewhere safe before you go in for real. The lifting and carrying 70 pounds, you're going to have to move heavy things out of the way. You're going to have to pull doors open. You're going to have to pull yourself up onto ledges. Make sure you can do that. Make sure you can do that a few times. Just 3 pull-ups. 3 pull-ups is hard for a lot of people. I've been in phases in my life constantly where I could no longer do even 3 pull-ups. It's not embarrassing. It's just a thing you need to be aware of. Be aware of how much you weigh versus how beat up the structure is. And that's not to say like, are you too fat to go walking around an abandoned building? Is your 200 pounds too much for the intense structural damage this place may have suffered? And that's going to apply as you walk through the place as well. I usually make sure I have a rod or a pole or a stick or something that I could just constantly whack the floor with in front of me as we're coming through dangerous areas, just to be sure. When I talk to other urban explorers, the topic quickly comes up of, oh, I had a friend, or we lost someone who, so-and-so 2 years ago. Everyone knows somebody. It's like motorcyclists. Everybody knows somebody or has a story about somebody who died on a motorcycle. Every urban explorer has a story about somebody who died doing urban exploration. And almost always it's because they fell through the floor. Sometimes the floor is a roof they were on, but they fell through the floor because they weighed too much for the structural capacity of that flooring. And it's not that they were fat, it's that they were more than that floor could handle. And it's something you really got to keep in mind, especially if you are on the heavier side. The heavier you are, the more you really have to consider this. And my favorite thing here, finally, bring snacks and take breaks. Holy crap, does this help? I cannot tell you how big of a deal it is to just like stop, take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, eat a granola bar, eat a banana, just keep it in your bag. It really gives you a great boost where you can get up and you can keep going and you get more energy, because you don't want to have to come back. You want to cover this place as much as you possibly can in the one shot you might have, and you don't want to burn out and go, all right, this is fine, this is enough, let's get out of here, and miss something really cool. Bring snacks and eat them and take breaks. Who doesn't love snacks? Just do it. Let's move on to what you should have with you. Speaking of bananas and granola bars. I like to tell people, this is my little joke, travel light, obviously, because you're going to need light. You're going to need all sorts of lights, crazy amounts of lights. Here are some of my favorite lights, in case you don't know where to start with lights. Make sure that you have a good, high lumen, long-lasting, lightweight flashlight. Everybody likes to bring these like 4D cell mag lights. Those suck. Those hurt your wrist after 2-3 hours of lugging this thing around. And you're just like, forget that. There's no need for those. Those don't have to exist anymore. They're stupid. Get a nice lightweight flashlight that's high lumen There's no end of them out there. I like to also take like a handheld work light, like you see over there, and I actually strap it to one of my backpack straps. So you just always have this massive headlight right on your chest, broadcasting forward. I like to bring a head lamp as well, so that as you turn your head, it points the light to where you're looking. This is great, especially if you're trying to open boxes or drawers or doors or something and you have to put your flashlight down. You still have a great amount of light that you can use to see everything you're doing. Phoenix and LED Lenser, two of my absolute favorite portable light companies. Look into those two if you're not sure where to get started. Finally, we're here and we want to share what we've seen. You know, yeah, it's cool to go in and see things for yourself, and certainly doing that just for the hobby of it, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm a big fan of information needing to be stored and shared. And the way we do that in these facilities is, of course, video. I don't recommend bringing GoPros, if you can tell from my comments here. GoPros, ever since it seems the 5, have been terrible. They overheat all the time. They just turn themselves off for no reason. I've had 3 models since the 5, and they all have all of these problems. They're unreliable. They are not professional equipment. Don't even buy one. There's other GoPro-like things. DJI makes some really good ones. The Osmo Action you see here, the Pocket 2 just came out, really good. The audio on them, not amazing, but for this kind of work, you don't really care about audio. Your phone probably has one of the best cameras out there, especially if you have like something like the new iPhone 12s with the wide angle lens. These are incredible. You have a 4K 120 frame per second wide angle lens camera that you can take with you. Super lightweight, extremely battery efficient. You can strap that to your chest and go. Also, don't strap it to your head. Strap it to your chest if you're not holding it. Strapping it to your head creates these videos where you're constantly looking around, and it makes everyone who watches your videos sick. So please stop doing that. That aside, bring your batteries. Just bring crap tons of batteries. USB batteries are cheap. They're easy. They're lightweight. You can pack a ton of them. Bring batteries. And bring, I guess, bring your ghost hunting gear. You know, if you're into that, if you're a ghost hunter, you're trying to get into it, bring your ghost hunting gear. I'm not going to comment on that. You can go figure out what that is. And of course, bring a backpack, and not just a backpack to carry all your stuff, to carry all the stuff you might find. This is archaeology. This is legit archaeology. This is stuff that's going to get destroyed if we leave it. It belongs in a museum. Maybe, but probably not. But probably it's cool and it's going to get wrecked, so take it. You know, those of us who were Boy Scouts know the old adage of like, leave it better than you found it. I don't think that applies here. These buildings are almost all going to get bulldozed and everything's going to end up in a landfill. So if you find something cool, I'm a big proponent of take it. It's funny. You could see here in this video, here's me scavenging hard drives, working on a separate project right now where we're going to be hosting all of these hard drive images from these drives we find in our dives over the years. But that's not going on right now, so not going to get too deep into it. Personal, like physical safety is a big concern here. Like I said, your life is at stake. Your body is at stake. You have to be serious about this. It's a frivolous, fun, dumb hobby, some might think, but it's extremely dangerous. And again, just like motorcycling, it's that. It's really fun. Yes, it's really dangerous and something you have to keep in mind. But just like motorcycling, if you wear all the proper gear, 99% of the time you're going to be fine. I really like mechanics gloves because they're durable. You're going to be grabbing a lot of rusty stuff, a lot of sharp stuff. Most of that's not going to puncture your mechanics gloves. They're cheap, $5 to $15 for some okay ones. Just do that. Bring an N95 mask. They were a little harder to find because of the pandemic. It's easier now. You want N95 because of the mold and especially the asbestos you might be coming across in these buildings, depending on when they were decommissioned. In the US, most of these buildings have had their asbestos removed, but you never know. I did a Wonder Bread factory in Buffalo, New York. That the whole top floor was all asbestos, and I had my respirator, and it's a sealed respirator, not like the medical masks, not the plaster sanding masks, the big rubber filter, those things where no air can get in because asbestos is not a joke. They're a little pricey, 30, $40. Also be aware those filters expire. So check the dates on those before you head out. Some good tough jeans. I like Kevlar motorcycle jeans. Hard hats. You don't need necessarily like a big bulky construction hard hat, but like a skydiving or helmet or something like that, or snowboarding helmets are generally enough to get you by. You're rarely going to have a steel beam come down and crack you in the head. You might, but for the most part, it's going to be you hitting your head on stuff. And so just a really good solid, something better than a bicycle helmet is the bottom line there. Boots, steel-toed boots, waterproof boots. Half these places are filled with water up to your ankles down in the basements. So steel toes, some really good Timberlands, something like that. But overall, clothing-wise, pretend you're going hiking. Assume you're going to be outside. These places have no HVAC. Most of them, all the windows are busted out. You're effectively outdoors. Dress for hiking outdoors. So something that's sweat wicking, keeps you cool, but also keeps you warm if it's winter. Just think, if I were going to go hiking right now, what would I wear? Wear that plus safety equipment. You're going to be all right. That aside, I don't think I got to tell you too much about the buddy system. Make sure you've got a buddy, at least one buddy with you there. Make sure you have a buddy off site who knows where you're going and what you're doing that you can check in with and go, hey, if you don't hear from me in 4 hours, if you get to the location before you go in, if you have no cell signal, tell them like, hey, we've got no cell signal out here. But if you don't hear from us in 4 hours, call the cops. This is where we're at. Otherwise, if you have cell signal, tell them, hey, I'm going to check in every hour or check in with me every hour. Something that easy. And if you don't hear from me, call the cops. If you get hurt and are stuck, call the cops. Call 911. Get an ambulance in there. Tell them where you're at. Tell them how to get into the place. Tell them how to find you once you're in there. They'll often keep you on the line just so they can make sure that you're found. It's worth it. It's worth the, $5,000 whatever fine you might get hit with to say prevent the loss of a limb because you broke your leg and wanted to hobble out without getting caught. Don't be afraid to call 911. Moving away from safety gear, let's talk about security bypassing gear. You might think that this is a huge part of it because you're breaking into buildings. In reality, it's not. It's a very small part of it, if at all. Most of the times you can get away with not needing any of this stuff. The top things I recommend are the multi-tool, because that comes in hand. It's a multi-tool. You can use it for all kinds of crap. A loom hook, which I don't have near me. Look it up. It's real common. It is great for slipping into stuff and just pushing latches open. It is amazing. You'll get through so many doors with just a stupid loom hook. There are common keys that open a lot of boxes, especially fire department boxes and elevator boxes, buildings that have like key boxes. Make sure you have a key box wheel lock decoder tool. That's really cool to have. I mentioned Deviant here. He gave a really good talk at Hope 11 on common keys, things that are key to like, so you can keep a small key ring of keys that are going to open a lot of things you might come across. So go watch that talk. That aside, jigglers are handy for wafer locks. If you like to dig through filing cabinets, those are really good. I'm not a fan of picks. They take too long. If you got to pick a lock, get out of there. It's probably not worth it. And there's probably another way past the door that you're already trying to pick the lock on. So unless you're really, really good at picking locks, I say bypass those. And finally, of course, you could bypass plenty of locks with some bolt cutters. Those are often huge and heavy. They suck to lug around. They're hard to hide in a backpack or anywhere else. So they're super suspicious. It's hard to explain why you have those and not say you're trying to break into places. So I just avoid those altogether. Again, it's so rare I come across a situation that needs any of that. So hopefully that was enough to get you started. Looks like I'm getting out of here right on time. So that's super cool. Probably the first time I've ever given a talk with a little time left over. Hooray me. And I've been Johnny Christmas. I hope this was enough to really get you out there. Please feel free to ask me any questions now. Ask me any questions later. You can find me on Twitter here. I have a YouTube channel where I post all of my more recent Urbex videos because I just kind of got started into the hobby again. It's been a lot of fun. Check me out there. This slide deck can be found on GitHub over there, along with all my slide decks. So once again, I'm Johnny Christmas. Thanks so much for coming to my talk, and enjoy the rest of the con.
That was
Oh.
fun.
I think you're signed in as me, Johnny.
Hmm.
See if I can change your name. I can't. You have to change it so that we don't confuse.
That was really
Johnny,
cool.
you joining
Actually,
us?
Unmute. Hey, is that me? Am I
That's
coming
you.
in?
You are
All right.
Bryson number 2.
Cool. What's up? I don't know. I'm just clicking links. You send me links, I'm going to click them. How about a webcam? You probably want that, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, sorry. I was just rushing in here. You know why. Trying to get this all working for y'all. And it's slow going. Come on now.
those hardware switch webcams are the best, aren't they?
Yeah, well, this is, I don't know why it's not. It says I'm sharing it. Can you see me?
No, we cannot.
Great.
You got your name changed.
Computers.
That's good.
Yeah, I got my name changed. That's good enough, right? We're going to give this one more try.
I see Bryson is now standing by the fire, illuminated.
Share my webcam. Nothing, huh? Okay. I don't know what to do about that.
Well, while you're playing with that, Tyler, have you ever done physical penetration testing?
Yeah. Yeah, spent a lot of time doing that. The very last one before COVID, as I was getting exfilled from my country, so I didn't have to spend the next 9 months in it. We actually were breaking into a place and ended up popping out the wrong door into an embassy with a nice M5 at our face. So it was interesting.
I had something similar happen in East St. Louis, so in the U.S.
Oh wow.
Yeah, sorry about my green screen not working today. I have opted to stop screwing with that so that I can talk to you.
I don't know what's wrong with it. It looks like a green screen.
It's working great. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's being a green screen. It's doing fine.
Yeah, COVID tip for everyone at home: don't paint your wall green. This is the ugliest thing to have to look at all the time. This is actually my wall.
You went all in with the paint.
Look good on paper. It does not look good on wall. So it works really well normally, except when I turn around, I'm like, oh my God, I have to live with this. But it's fun normally. Anyway, yeah, I was doing a physical pen test on a chemical plant in East St. Louis, and it was one of only 2 facilities this company had that had armed guards. The rest of the facilities didn't. And I had already done 3 of their facilities, and so I was just going in like nothing. And I was parked off campus across the streets in East St. Louis, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America. And I am in a Lexus in a very nice suit, parked across the street, just after driving real slow around the place once. And this guard leaves the bunker, leaves the campus with his AR-15 out, approaches the car, like driver's side window, like doesn't get down to talk to me, just like gun in my face, like not pointed, but gun in my face. Is there something I could help you with, sir? No.
Yeah.
And the client did not inform us that there would be armed guards, let alone like this isn't sidearm. This is a rifle.
It's always those ones that you find out are armed later that are the worst. It's definitely a question you ask. Is there dogs?
Well,
and is there armed guards?
And I was working for a company that didn't do armed guard penetration. Like, we just didn't. We declined that work. We weren't prepared for it. I certainly wasn't. My pants weren't. And
It
So
usually
the
it was a
lesson
very
learned
expensive
is,
suit. As I'm,
so the lesson learned is wear the brown pants.
yeah, and get the insurance coverage on the rental car. You gotta clean that up.
So what happened? So you of course were like, oh no, I'm just on my way.
Oh,
I'm
so
lost.
I said no, and then they directed me to go park over there, and so I did comply. And in the meantime, called my boss and said, "Hey, snafu, I need an evac." And of course,
you
the
seen my
desperation of,
hose?
yeah, and I've got, you've got your get out of jail free letter, and I just pull that out of my sock and I hand it to the guard, and he goes, "All right, well, you wait here, and I'm going to go call this phone number." And they don't just leave you alone; they leave you with another guy who shows up with an AR and just stares at you. Yeah, so that was.
Yeah,
But then they're like, "All right, you should leave now," and I did, and I went home. And it's funny because I had flown in that morning and flew out that night.
those one-way tickets are always a thing for physical stuff.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
also nothing to do with my talk here whatsoever.
Well, no, it does, because I mean that is a component to these
Sure.
things. You're just there might be fewer people around that you have to deal with, but you still have a lot of the same kind of physical obstacles.
You absolutely do. And depending on what you're getting into, some of my favorite sites are not abandoned because they're long disused, but sometimes because they're currently being built. And some of those sites are going to actually have, active electronic security in place that you know, should never bypass. And you should just go home and obey the law.
Yeah, definitely knowing what
Um,
is around from a visual standpoint, because that is,
yeah.
liability.
Casing the place, checking it out beforehand and knowing what you're going to get up against before you even take a step onto the property is a huge part of the time spent in this. You watch videos on YouTube and stuff of like people just, going around inside these places and videoing everything and posting it online. You think, oh, that looks fun and easy, but like none of that video includes the amount of recon, sitting on Google satellite images. And lately, I'll send my drone up and do quite a number of laps around the place looking for, is there rooftop access? Is there access to the back? The last place I did, we actually had to walk along some freight rail tracks for a very long time to get to the rear of the building that used to take in loads from freight trains that would stop behind it. And there happened to be a way in back there, but you couldn't just go around the building because it was fenced off forever. But we found if you walk along the tracks far enough, you can get right back there. The drone found that. And so recon is a huge part of it. It makes your job a lot easier once you get down there, because you don't want to be bumming around outside, like I said, jiggling all the doors and peeping in the windows. You want to really have a great idea of how you're going to get out of the public eye as soon as possible before you get down there.
That's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, there's some that was some cool footage in the background. I love the idea of just doing your talk with footage running. That was entertaining.
I plan on doing that even once we start doing these things live again. It's so much fun. It gives you, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 10,000. And it's super fun. It's super easy to do. I could do it live now for sure. And so I think going forward, that's how all of my talks are going to be. And so I make my slides with transparent backgrounds, just alpha blended. So whatever's in the background just shows through, and that's all that was.
Yeah, see, I want to see you take it to 9,000, and I want you to do the exploration live while you're doing the talk. You talk about demo fail, like you see this, like I'm trapped right now. Hold on a second.
I'm dead.
I
have a broken leg. If anyone out there, hey Chet, can you call 911 for me? We have done live Twitch streams. We did one on Halloween, full moon Halloween abandoned warehouse Twitch stream. That was super fun. I would do that again. Downside is it is a violation of most streaming services because you're breaking the law. And but it was super freaking fun, and people love it because you can do things like, hey, should we go up these stairs or should I go down that hallway? And you can let the people vote.
Wow,
That
live
was
choose your own adventure.
yeah, that's on my YouTube channel. If you go look for the Halloween Urbex, it's that one. And we even had a live commentator off site. It was a blast. So look forward to more of those in the future.
That's awesome. Now that was interesting. That was well done. You covered pretty much everything I could think of.
Yep. Like I said, I've been doing it a long time, and there's a lot to it, and at the same time, there's not a lot to it. You know, nothing much has changed. Be safe and know what you're doing before you do it, which is part
Enjoy
of be
the journey
safe, I
too,
guess.
right?
And absolutely enjoy the journey. Make sure you are prepared to enjoy the journey. You know, bring snacks, take a break, be safe.
Yeah, be willing to call it off.
Yeah, because you like often you can always go back. I have done this, so you know I travel around the world a lot doing presentations like this, and I always, when I'm in a new city, try to find abandoned places that I can get into because I'm like, look, I'm here. I've taken the time to fly out to this place. Often, if I'm presenting on one day, and I've often got 2 or 3 extra days of no obligation. So I go, what kind of trouble can I get into? And that's what this is.
That's fantastic.
Hey, that would
So
be
if
the
I'm ever
international version is what phrases to know to get yourself out of trouble.
I'm sorry, I'm a dumb American.
No, that's the only one. You're just like, American.
American. Hablo inglés. And they go, oh God, it's one of these. You're in Germany or something. And that's definitely a worry. I did. So when I was at Chaos Computer Congress in Berlin, well, near Berlin, I was like, hey, where can we break into around here? Is to really get into trouble because we're on a visitor's visa. And we, again, it's on my YouTube channel. There's an abandoned World War II children's hospital way on the outskirts of Berlin. And I was like, well, we have to go do this. And it was quite a bit of effort just to get inside. And yeah, in the back of your head, the whole time, you're like, man, if we get caught, what? Where do we know where the American embassy is? And in reality, like, again, it's just trespassing. When it was closer to 9/11, there were more things to worry about. Law enforcement was more on edge about what are you doing in here? But these days that really seems to have calmed down. And like in the end, like worst case scenario, they're going to tell you to go back to America and put you on a plane. You know, you're not going to end up in prison.
It was the COVID vaccine that made me do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, COVID. American COVID vaccine. Crazy. I don't know. 5G. 5G.
What other things have you been up to this year?
I mean, hey, I work at GRIMM now. That's what I've been up to. We accidentally created another product to sell, so we're going to see if there's another scythe comes out of that. But aside from that, I had given myself way too many things to do because I said, oh no, I'm going to be locked out. I'll be stuck in my house. I'm not going to be able to hang out with anybody. You know, those who know me know I'm all about creating social groups, and I run all of these hacker meetups and things like that. And now that's all, you know, gone to the wayside. So I said, what can I do in the house? And so I've been streaming on Twitch a ton, again, which so many other people have done. Because I was like, hey, I'm gonna be stuck inside. I have all of these projects I've been putting off because I've been outside for years. I'm gonna start doing this. And it was a lot of electronics repair, a lot of building things, a lot of engineering. And I said, oh, why don't I just stream this? People seem interested on it. So I do Fix It Fridays, most Fridays, where I find something that's broken and I just fix it on stream. It's usually electronic, everything from, gosh, ham radios to I might do a guitar this Friday. I got to put some new pickups in it, just everything. And I do Wreck It Wednesdays, which is where I completely dismantle something way further than anyone has any right to do. And that often gets cathartic. It's usually laptops. It's a lot of laptops most times. That's really fun. Got a stack of them over here. So I think I'm going to do that tonight. But the really old laptops, so you get like, you know, the golden age of when nobody had laptops, and you get to see what those look like on the inside because it's so much different than now. But those are fun because you're just completely destroying something, and it's just hanging out, it's chatting, it's catching up with people. It's kind of been a really fun in between. So yeah, check me out at twitch.tv/Johnny Xmas with a 0 and a 4 like my Twitter handle.
You actually have laptops that were made in America? That old?
Geez, I'd have to look. I have a Compaq one I'm going to take apart tonight that might have been. It's a Pentium, I think it's a Pentium 100. So I don't know. That might be American made.
That's
But
pretty awesome.
yeah, people, and actually that one was just sent to me by someone who was like, you should take this apart. So I have fans on Twitch now who send me things to dismantle. That's very weird.
What's the weirdest thing you've got yet?
Oh, I just did it's gone. I'm looking for it. I dismantled it. It's gone. A WAG. There's a dog walking service called WAG, and they have these key boxes. The same ones kind of like realtors use, but it's got their big logo on it, and they give it to you, and they go, "Hey, we'll send you a secure key box so that you can make sure your dog walker has keys to your house." And they push that it's like secure, and they've actually replaced the ones they used twice because they were so insecure. And so now they got this one, and I couldn't find a video of anyone doing a bypass on that one. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And so somebody had sent me one, so I did not only said, here's how you decode the combination to figure it out, to do a surreptitious bypass. And the idea being that you can take the keys out, go make a copy of them, put them back. Nobody knows that happened. But then I did a full teardown of the lock, so you can see on the inside how the decoding works. So you could see the little notch that you're looking for with the decoder tool and see it from inside the lock, which I thought was really cool. And people got a big kick out of that, because it's one thing to teach people put your decoder in, and then you got to kind of feel for it and hope. Whereas I can go on camera and go, see, here's the inside of it after we've done this full teardown, and really explain what you're feeling and why and how it works. And so I think that was the most out of the ordinary thing that I did that ended up being really fun on Twitch. And that was just a few weeks ago.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, it's on the YouTube. I put all the stuff over there.
You haven't had YouTube take any of your stuff down yet, huh?
No, not take any of it down. No, I'll get a copyright claim now and then for it seems like no matter how much, copyright free music you use, you still get flagged. So it's like, whatever. And that's easy enough to fix. They've actually got a really cool system for it now, which uses technology similar to how noise reduction works, where it'll just identify the music in the background of your video and just blank that out without affecting the speaking too much. And that's pretty cool. So even YouTube is like, hey, you can't use that music, but we don't want to take your video down, so let us help you just get rid of that music. Whereas Twitch has been doing everything like that the wrong way and really pissing a lot of people off. But I get that they don't have the money that YouTube has to do things the right way. So we'll see what the next streaming service is after everybody abandons Twitch.
I hear it's what is it, Pornhub and AnyFriend or whatever that other one is. Everybody started moving stuff there. There you go. Well,
so that's because the credit companies have stopped allowing payments to them. So yeah, their funding has been cut off. And when you no longer have money coming in, you're really open to making some changes. Yeah. What sucks though is that it's not being done across the board. Like Visa and MasterCard are just targeting specific companies, which seems like bullshit. Like if you're gonna try to pretend to be altruistic, you have to be fair. You have to say everything, not just these specific companies who are doing what everyone is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds a little political.
Yeah. If I can plug DEF CON at your con. We're still doing drunk hacker history that we normally do at DEF CON, but we're doing that at New Year's Eve tomorrow. So catch us at 9 Eastern on the DEF CON Discord, the New Year's Eve stream. So that's another thing I'm doing this year. And that's we're going to be playing GoldenEye 64 and telling old stories about DEF CON and having guests on and stuff. So that's another thing I've been trying to do, is just more fun stuff like this, and stuff that's not technical presentations, because There's always somebody who knows more than I do. There's always somebody who can present something technical better than I can. And it's rare that I would be the first person to talk about something like that. So I tried to see what's something that's not being talked about anymore, or something else I could do. And so like this urban exploration stuff, I'm like, everybody, if you're a hacker, you're into this. You're into breaking and entering, and you're just fascinated by old stuff a lot of the times. And so it's like, let me pitch this and see how that goes. So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's what I've been up to.
Well,
And thanks for having me at GrimmCon again.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing something in, and that's why I was